Your body is destroying itself right now, and you don't even know it. Every system inside you, bones, muscles, heart, eyes, immune system, depends on gravity to function correctly. Remove gravity for 6 months, and the human body begins dismantling itself at a measurable, documented, terrifying rate. How do astronauts survive half a year in an environment that actively breaks down the human body? How do they return to Earth capable of walking? And why do some come back with permanently damaged eyesight from a force nobody predicted? The answers involve medical countermeasures so extreme they border on athletic torture, engineering solutions borrowed from fighter jet pilots, and biological discoveries that have fundamentally changed how doctors understand the human body on Earth. You think zero gravity looks fun. The reality is something completely different. Here is what actually happens. Let's start with the numbers, because the biological damage accumulates faster than most people realize. In microgravity, astronauts lose approximately 1 to 2% of bone density per month. On Earth, the most severe osteoporosis patients lose approximately 1% of bone density per year. Astronauts lose that same amount every single month, 12 times faster than the most extreme Earth-based bone disease. After 6 months aboard the International Space Station, some astronauts return with bone density equivalent to a 70-year-old, regardless of their actual age. Muscle mass loss in microgravity averages 20% over a 6-month mission without countermeasures. 20% muscle loss. That is equivalent to the muscle atrophy that occurs after approximately 3 months of complete bed rest on Earth, compressed into a shorter time frame by the complete absence of gravitational load on every muscle in the body simultaneously. The heart shrinks. In microgravity, the cardiovascular system reduces workload because blood no longer needs to be pumped against gravity from legs to brain. The heart muscle itself atrophies by approximately 9% over 6 months. 9% cardiac atrophy in a healthy adult at peak physical fitness during a period of regular exercise. The organ simply has less work to do and responds by becoming smaller. Blood volume drops by approximately 22% within the first days of microgravity exposure. The body interprets the fluid shift toward the upper body, caused by the absence of gravity pulling blood toward the legs, as a signal that total blood volume is too high. It responds by shedding approximately 1 liter of blood volume within 48 hours of entering microgravity. This fluid shift is also responsible for the puffy faces and congested sinuses every astronaut experiences immediately upon reaching orbit. Vision impairment affects approximately 70% of long-duration astronauts. Approximately 70%, not a rare complication, a majority outcome. The fluid shift toward the upper body increases intracranial pressure, which pushes against the optic nerve and flattens the rear of the eyeball. Some astronauts return from 6-month missions needing reading glasses for the first time in their lives. Several have experienced permanent vision changes that did not fully reverse after returning to Earth. The International Space Station has been continuously occupied since November 2, 2000, over 24 years without interruption. It orbits at an altitude of approximately 408 kilometers, roughly the distance from New York City to Boston, measured vertically above the Earth's surface. It travels at 7.66 kilometers per second, completing 1 full orbit of Earth every 90 minutes. Astronauts aboard witness 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every single day. The ISS cost approximately $150 billion to build and operate. That makes it the most expensive single structure ever constructed by human beings, more expensive than any building, bridge, dam, or tunnel in human history. So how do astronauts survive 6 months of this biological assault? The answer is a relentless, engineered daily countermeasure schedule that leaves almost no free time. Exercise is mandatory, not optional, not recommended, mandatory, enforced by mission protocol as a medical requirement. ISS astronauts exercise a minimum of 2.5 hours per day, 6 days per week. That is more daily exercise than most professional athletes complete during active training seasons. The equipment required to deliver that exercise in microgravity is unlike anything in an Earth gym. Standard treadmills, stationary bikes, and weight machines are useless in zero gravity. The user simply floats away from them under any applied force. The Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, called ARED, uses vacuum cylinders to simulate weights up to 272 kilograms of resistance. 272 kilograms is approximately the weight of a large male grizzly bear. Astronauts squat, deadlift, and bench press against this simulated resistance while harnessed to the machine to prevent floating away during the movement. The Combined Operational Load-Bearing External Resistance Treadmill, called COLBRT, uses a harness system with bungee cords generating approximately 70% of the astronaut's Earth body weight as a downward load while running. Running on Earth generates 2.5 times body weight in impact force per stride. The COLBRT system achieves approximately 70% of body weight, enough to partially maintain bone density in the lower extremities, but not enough to fully prevent loss. Surprising fact number 1. Astronauts sweat profusely during ISS exercise, but the sweat does not fall or drip. Without gravity, sweat forms spherical droplets that adhere to skin and accumulate into increasingly large floating globules around the exercising astronaut. After a treadmill session, the astronaut is surrounded by a cloud of floating sweat spheres, each one a perfect liquid sphere that must be actively cleaned from the surrounding equipment before they contact electronics or air intake vents. Surprising fact number 2. The 2.5 hours of mandatory daily exercise still does not prevent bone loss. Even with full compliance with the mandatory exercise protocol, astronauts still lose measurable bone density during 6-month missions. Exercise slows the loss by approximately 50% compared to no exercise. It does not stop it. Bone loss in microgravity appears to involve mechanisms beyond simple mechanical loading, hormonal changes, altered calcium metabolism, and disrupted bone remodeling cycles that exercise cannot fully address. Surprising fact number 3. The most effective bone protection measure currently used is pharmaceutical. Bisphosphonate drugs, the same medications prescribed to postmenopausal women with osteoporosis on Earth, are now being tested as bone preservation agents during spaceflight. Early results suggest bisphosphonates combined with the exercise protocol reduce bone loss by approximately 70% compared to exercise alone. A drug designed for elderly women with degenerative bone disease is currently among the best tools available for protecting healthy astronauts in their 30s and 40s. But bone and muscle are only 2 of the systems failing simultaneously. 3 additional systems create equally serious engineering challenges. The cardiovascular system problem goes beyond cardiac atrophy. Upon return to Earth, astronauts face orthostatic intolerance, the inability to maintain blood pressure when standing upright. After 6 months of the heart pumping blood in all directions equally, the cardiovascular system loses its ability to rapidly redirect blood against gravity toward the brain. Approximately 80% of astronauts returning from long-duration missions cannot stand upright for 10 minutes without experiencing dizziness, fainting, or near fainting. Some cannot stand at all immediately after landing. Astronauts returning in Soyuz capsules are carried from the spacecraft on stretchers and must be assisted to stand for the first hours after touchdown. The countermeasure for this is a lower body negative pressure device, a sealed chamber enclosing the lower body that uses a vacuum to draw blood toward the legs, simulating the cardiovascular demand of standing upright. Astronauts use this device for 30 minutes per day during the final weeks before returning to Earth. essentially rehearsing cardiovascular responses to gravity before reintroducing the actual gravity. The immune system in space behaves in ways that still are not fully understood. Viral reactivation is one of the most alarming documented effects. Dormant viruses reactivate in astronauts at significantly elevated rates. The Epstein-Barr virus, which causes mononucleosis and lies dormant in approximately 95% of the adult population after initial infection, reactivates in over 50% of astronauts during spaceflight. The varicella-zoster virus, responsible for chickenpox and shingles, reactivated in 4 of the first 7 astronauts tested in one NASA study. The reactivation appears linked to cortisol elevation from chronic stress, physical, psychological, and circadian, combined with a documented reduction in natural killer cell activity. Natural killer cells are a primary immune defense against viral reactivation. In space, their activity drops measurably. Dormant viruses recognize the reduced surveillance and begin replicating. The sleep system fails almost universally in space. The ISS completes one orbit every 90 minutes, meaning astronauts experience sunrise every 90 minutes. The human circadian rhythm, calibrated over millions of years to 24-hour light-dark cycles, receives no coherent signal in this environment. ISS astronauts use blackout sleep masks, melatonin supplements, carefully scheduled light exposure from specialized LED panels, and in some cases prescription sleep medications. Despite all these interventions, sleep quality aboard the ISS averages approximately 6 hours per night, below the recommended 8 hours, and sleep efficiency is measurably lower than ground-based controls. Sleep deprivation compounds every other medical problem. Bone formation requires growth hormone released during deep sleep. Immune function depends on cytokine production during sleep. Cardiovascular recovery requires sustained rest periods. When sleep is inadequate, every other countermeasure works less effectively. NASA data shows cognitive performance, reaction time, memory, problem-solving speed, degrades measurably during the final weeks of 6-month missions as cumulative sleep deprivation compounds. Astronauts performing precision tasks during this period show performance metrics approximately 20% below their pre-flight baselines. Now let's get into the facts that most people, including many aerospace engineers, find genuinely surprising. First, returning to Earth is physically more dangerous than launching into space. Re-entry from the ISS subjects astronauts to approximately 4G of deceleration force during the final descent. 4G means 4 times the normal force of gravity, equivalent to 4 times your body weight pressing down on every part of your body simultaneously. After 6 months of zero gravity, cardiovascular systems that have forgotten how to pump blood upward, muscles that have lost 20% of their mass, and skeletons with reduced bone density must suddenly withstand quadruple gravitational loading. Multiple astronauts have described re-entry as among the most physically punishing experiences of their lives. Not launch, which is violent but brief, but the sustained deceleration of return. Second, the psychological challenge of isolation may be more mission-limiting than the physical one. The ISS crew of 6 people lives in a pressurized volume of approximately 916 cubic meters, roughly equivalent to a 5-bedroom house. They share this space for 6 months, cannot leave, cannot call home in real time due to communication delays, and must maintain functional working relationships with crewmates despite personal conflicts, because the mission cannot continue otherwise. NASA's psychological support teams communicate with crews daily. Conflict resolution protocols are a formal part of mission planning documentation. Third, the radiation exposure during a 6-month ISS mission equals approximately 80 millisieverts. 80 millisieverts. The annual radiation limit for nuclear power plant workers on Earth is 50 millisieverts. ISS astronauts exceed the entire annual safe limit for the most radiation-exposed Earth-based workers in just 6 months, simply by living in low Earth orbit above most of the atmosphere's radiation shielding. On a future Mars mission lasting approximately 30 months round trip, radiation exposure would reach approximately 600 millisieverts, 12 times the annual nuclear worker limit, significantly elevating lifetime cancer risk. Fourth, some effects of spaceflight are beneficial and were completely unexpected. Astronauts returning from long-duration missions consistently show elevated levels of certain immune regulatory compounds that are associated with reduced inflammatory responses. Some researchers have proposed that the altered immune environment of spaceflight may offer insights into treating autoimmune conditions on Earth. Multiple pharmaceutical companies are now conducting drug crystallization experiments aboard the ISS, specifically because the absence of gravity produces more perfect crystal structures than Earth-based manufacturing can achieve. Fifth, and here is the controversial part. Some aerospace medicine researchers argue that 6 months is already close to the safe limit for human spaceflight, and that the proposed 30-month Mars mission timeline is medically premature with current countermeasures. Bone loss that is largely reversible in 12 months after a 6-month mission may not be reversible after a 30-month mission. Radiation damage is cumulative and irreversible. Vision impairment from intracranial pressure has not shown full reversal in all studied astronauts even years after return. NASA's official position is that Mars missions are achievable with improved countermeasures. A growing minority of aerospace medicine researchers disagree, arguing that the human body's evolutionary design simply has no tolerance for the combined insult of radiation, microgravity, isolation, and disrupted circadian rhythm across 30 continuous months, regardless of what countermeasures are deployed. Both positions are argued by credentialed scientists using the same data. The disagreement is real and unresolved. So here is what 6 months in space actually means, assembled into its complete picture. Bone density dropping at 12 times the rate of Earth's most severe osteoporosis, 20% of muscle mass gone, the heart shrinking by 9%, blood volume falling by 22%, vision damaged in 70% of astronauts, dormant viruses reactivating, sleep degraded below safe levels, radiation exposure exceeding nuclear worker annual limits. All of this happening simultaneously to healthy people at peak physical condition, despite 2.5 hours of mandatory daily exercise and a full pharmaceutical countermeasure protocol. And yet astronauts volunteer for second and third missions. They return, they recover mostly, and the knowledge gained from each mission is directly improving medical treatments for bone disease, cardiovascular disease, muscle atrophy, and immune dysfunction on Earth. The ISS is not just a space station. It is the most expensive, most extreme, most continuously operational medical research laboratory ever built, staffed by subjects who are simultaneously the researchers and the experiment. Here is the question worth sitting with. If 6 months in microgravity produces this level of documented biological damage in some of the healthiest, best monitored, most medically supported humans on Earth, what does that tell us about what we still do not understand about the human body's dependence on the gravitational field it evolved inside? Maybe the most important discoveries about human biology in the next 50 years will not come from hospitals or laboratories on Earth. Maybe they will come from what breaks when you take gravity away. If this changed how you see the world, hit subscribe. We uncover the truth behind things you thought you already knew. Right now, 6 humans are orbiting 408 kilometers above you at 7.66 kilometers per second. Their bones are thinning. Their hearts are shrinking. Their dormant viruses are waking up. They knew all of this before they launched. They went anyway.